Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy, ever so popular. We have a lot of new people following us. Christy, why are we so successful lately?
Did we say the truth?
We say the truth. We say the truth, and we try to bring you information that you can't find anywhere else. So here we are with Trump's secret plan to avoid World War III. This is today's exclusive. Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy Zagami every Saturday from 5 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, yes, 7 p.m. CST, Central Time, and 8 p.m.
I only know Pacific and Eastern. That's it.
And yes, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, here we are with a lot of news this week. Once again, we had Biden. I think he should give up. He's completely delusional. They are all telling him on all sides to give up, but he doesn't give up. So,
what's wrong with him? Nobody wants him.
Nobody wants him.
Party doesn't even want him.
So who is?
Go away, Joe.
Go away, Joe. Go away, Joe. Listen to Christy. Go away, Joe. Who is sponsoring today's broadcast, Christy?
We have Bruce Kodish and Malgrazana Minta. Thank you very much, guys, for donating to the show and sponsoring us here.
Somebody else?
No, that's it.
You need to sponsor this broadcast if you want to launch your business or launch yourself or simply support us. Well, you can do it.
Nobody wants to launch their business with us for some reason.
Okay.
A lot of people get sponsors, but we don't get anybody.
We don't get anybody.
No.
But our sponsors are the people.
Our sponsors are you. We don't have any big commercial sponsors. We just have you guys to help us out here with this hot humidity and
no, it's hot. It's not a question of humidity.
It's humid too.
It's humid too, but it's also very hot. Let me show everybody who is following us now what we are dealing here in Palm Springs, because I think people need to be reminded that in the summer we have a lot more expenses with the heat and air conditioning, aside from the streaming services. I just want to show you this article from SF Gate, which shows you what kind of record we have broken, and it's not a nice record.
It felt like we broke a record yesterday. Today it feels a little bit better. Yesterday it was really hot.
Not that much. Let me show you. Here we are. Palm Springs breaks all-time record high temperature amidst California heat wave. That means 124 degrees Fahrenheit. For those who are following us from outside the United States, that's 51.111 degrees. California historic heat wave could topple a Palm Springs temperature record, and it did, and it was terrible. It was insane. It was just unbearable.
We survived.
We survived.
We picked the desert, so what do you want?
I mean, this is...
Everybody knew we were going to get hot here. So.
Yeah, but this hot is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
We're surviving.
Now, we have, of course, for the first part of our show, Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. For the second part of our show, from minute 46 or 45, I mean, that's when we end up the first part of the show. We usually end up at that point. Then we have the second part of the show available only on X and Rumble. So, sorry to reiterate this, but if you want to follow the full show live, Rumble and X. Otherwise, band.video later on. Band.video also for following the entirety of this show uncensored. Okay.
Is that usual music?
Well, we're giving it more emphasis. Is the dance macabre giving more emphasis here? It's sounds dance macabre. Okay, here we go with today's special dedicated to Trump's secret plan to avoid World War III. Where does this plan come from? When was it born? Well, here you will finally realize what Trump is doing for you behind the scenes. It all started in March 2024. It all started when Viktor Orban arrived in Mar-a-Lago, and of course he met with the beautiful Melania Trump and with Trump, and that was the beginning of something really special. Of course, it was immediately criticized by all the leftists, the mainstream media, but this is an important moment. Trump, Orban, March 2024.
There's nobody that's better, smarter, or a better leader than Viktor Orban. He's fantastic. He's as you know, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and does a great job. He's a non-controversial figure because he said this is the way it's going to be, and that's the end of it, right? He's the boss. And you know, he's a great leader, fantastic leader in Europe and all over the world. They respect him. It's an honor to have you with us, Viktor. A very great honor. Thank you.
I like the style in Mar-a-Lago. Somebody is asking us for the Rumble link. It's in the description of this video. Of course, the link for the Rumble channel. Then if you don't find it, if you don't have the link, just go on Rumble and put Leo Zagami. We're getting quite popular on Rumble, so they immediately direct you to our channel, which, like I said, is going quite well, both in the Italian and the English language.
Well, that's good.
How was the books this week? How was
sales were not very good.
People,
everybody bought the book.
Why are you not purchasing the book of the moment, volume 10?
Don't you guys know that this book is so good?
This book is very important at the moment. Of course, we just saw the election of the new president in Iran, and if you want to understand a little bit more of Iran and what is going on in the Middle East, this is definitely the book. Also, Hamas has just dropped a key demand. We have the CIA director who just went to Doha in Qatar. Why they always go to Qatar? Well, you need to read this book to understand what is
this book right here. This book right here will clear up all the misunderstanding that you have in your brain about what's going on in the world right now.
And
it cleared
in the
me
Middle
up
East.
really quick. So I mean, as soon as I read and understood this book, then I understood everything, and I didn't have to read anymore. And I don't feel like that horrible feeling that I had before. That, you know, this like confused feeling, like what's going on? Like I totally understood that we're all pretty much fucked. So that's it.
But we could eventually understand each other, understand what is driving all this nonsense, this insanity, this chaos, because the Illuminati exists in the Western world, but also in the Middle East. So people say, do I need to start from the first book? No, you can start directly from volume 10. You can start from volume 9, 8. These are books that you can actually read without reading the prior books, and you have no problem. Volume 9, for example, has a chapter and more than a chapter dedicated to Ukraine, and this is what we are discussing here, because in the last couple of days we have seen Viktor Orban arriving in Moscow, talking with Vladimir Putin. This is very important, guys. This is very important. And it started in March. Then this, let's say, alliance with Viktor Orban, which has been, of course, happening for various years, has intensified with the CPAC. Now, CPAC happens here in America. There is a CPAC America, which is well known, and we had it at the end of February this year. but then you have CPAC now in various countries around the world, including Hungary. And this was the speech given by Orban at the CPAC in April 2024.
Mi az idén arra vállalkozunk, hogy elkergessük őket onnan.
Now, because there is the subtitles, and I don't want anybody to lose track of what Orban is saying, I will take off the GoFundMe link for the moment. Remember that GoFundMe is one of the ways you can support us, as well as Cash App. You can find the handle as leozagami.com.
Jöjjön el végre a szuverenisták kora, térjünk vissza arra a békés és biztonságos pályára, ami nagyjá tette a nyugatot. Make America great again, make Europe great again. Hajrá Donald Trump, hajrá európai szuverenisták, nyergeljünk, vértezzük fel magunkat, irány a csatamező, és kezdődjék a választási harc. Barátaim, emlékezetes hetek várnak ránk, fel győzelemre!
Now, let me explain you what is happening here, because it's very important what is happening for the future of the world, not only of Europe. Viktor Orban has created a group within the European Parliament called Patriots for Europe. Is considered a right wing or far right, you know, but they are sovereignists. They are conservative people. It was founded and it was launched and announced in a press conference in Vienna in late June 2024 by Viktor Orban, by the former Czech minister Andrej Babis, and the Austrian Minister of Interior Herbert Kickl, and also other representatives of the conservative European world. Just today, Vox from Spain has announced they're joining the Patriots for Europe. Why is so important, guys? This is about the secret plan that Trump has been putting together since March with Viktor Orban to save our lives, to save us from World War III. This is what happened when, of course, Orban arrived in Moscow a couple of days ago, and he managed to really do a lot in Moscow, let me tell you. So here we go with the last message given in this official video by Viktor Orban. Check out the message. He's basically the head of the EU, which at the moment has the Hungarian presidency directing it. I mean, they exchange this presidency. It's kind of a rotative, you know, like in rotation. Each country in Europe is, of course, in charge in a specific time of the Council of the EU. This time is Viktor Orban. So this is very important because, let me tell you, after his arrival in Moscow, they immediately attacked him. But you see, the left doesn't want any peace. And this is the demonstration that we are really fighting against demons. When Reuters gives us this kind of information, let me show you. And also, let me show you soon what happened after Orban went to Mar-a-Lago to start this process, which will bring peace once Trump is back in the White House. You see what they're saying here is Hungary, Orban talks Ukraine peace with Putin, stirring EU outcry. I mean, these people don't want any peace. These people are really scumbags in Europe, just as in the White House now with Joe Biden. It says here, Hungarian. Let Christy read this. You can do it.
Yeah, I have to move this mic.
Okay.
Okay. Can you make it bigger?
Okay.
Make it bigger. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban talks on a potential Ukrainian peace deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday, angering some European Union leaders who warned against appeasing Moscow and said he did not speak for the EU. Hungary assumed the 6-month rotating presidency of the bloc on Monday. 5 days in, and Orban has visited Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev and formed the Patriots for Europe alliance with other right-wing nationalists. But why go and visit him? He's like a...
Because when...
Does he want peace?
That is very important to explain to everybody here. Up until now, nobody has really followed the way to peace, because in order to have peace, you have to put both the belligerent sides together in the same room, and you have to work out the deal. That's how it works in a normal world, not like a few weeks ago with Kamala Harris going in Switzerland, and basically the whole alliance of Vladimir Zelensky showing up without Russia, because that's not searching any peace. That's not searching any deal to make. You can't make a deal with yourself. You can maybe wage more war. And also this whole thing that keeps on going, is false thing about sending more and more weapons for obtaining peace. When have we ever sent more weapons to obtain peace? Are we insane? Yes, we are.
No, we're not. We're not insane. The government is. We are not. We are not behind any of
the
this.
Western world is definitely having some problems. Now, let me show you what happened when Orban went to visit in Kiev Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, Volodymyr Zelensky is still a little bit skeptic about this peace proposal, but he knows very well that if he wants to exit alive from the American elections, because once we change this whole thing, Joe Biden, the senile dictator of America, goes back home, and we finally are free from those libtards in the White House, Zelensky will have to find himself a way to survive. And if he doesn't want to end up like Gaddafi or some other dictator that served the interests of the United States and then ended up dead, and there is many, we can make a whole list, including, if we want, even Saddam Hussein, because in a weird way, he had previously served some of the American interest. But like I said, there is many others. If he doesn't want to end up basically in a ditch, killed and slaughtered by his own people, well, he will have to work out a deal. That's how it works. That's how it works. So Orban arrives in Kiev to visit, for the first time since the beginning of this war with Russia, Volodymyr Zelensky, to give a message, to discuss what Trump has in mind. You see, Zelensky has been, in the last few months, especially in the last couple of months, insisting on, we invite Trump here, Trump needs to talk with me, Trump needs to talk with us, we need to find a solution. No, there is no solution. You need to listen to what Trump is saying and what Orban is saying to Trump, and Orban now is gone to Putin, and once Trump is back in the White House, Volodymyr Zelensky needs to respect this new plan for obtaining peace. And I will tell you the plan soon.
now come to the Prime Minister. Honorary Victor, you're welcome. Thank you so much. The last UFFICIALE visit to you in a lot of years ago, 2012, and so we are happy that you are here. For us, it's a symbolic visit. Of course, I want to discuss with you stage on battlefield and this summit. We are thankful to your participation in this summit.
So this is what is happening right now. But like I said, everything started in March. And you see, while people like Barack Hussein Obama, because we need to always remind people, Hussein Obama was given a Nobel Peace Prize, he did absolutely nothing to deserve it. Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, but he probably will never get it because those people in Oslo are a bunch of leftists, and they will never give Nobel Peace Prize to Donald J. Trump. Actually, when Viktor Orban came to visit Trump in Mar-a-Lago, the mainstream media here in America was extremely rude. Check out what CNN said.
Something Republicans don't want you to see. They even threw our reporter off the property for trying to bring this next story to you.
Okay, here we're talking about Orban's CPAC. We're going to go back there in a moment. First, I want to show you, though, the reactions in March 2024 to Orban's Trump meeting in Mar-a-Lago.
Autocrat Viktor Orban is revealing new details about his discussions with Donald Trump in Florida over the weekend, including that Trump, quote, will not give a penny to Ukraine if reelected this fall, a move he believes would end that war with Russia. Orban made the comments on Hungarian state television this morning. It comes just after the former president posted a highlight reel of Orban's visit to his Truth Social account, which included Orban praising Trump's leadership and lamenting the state of the world without him in the Oval Office. Let's listen.
Trump elnök úr a béke elnöke volt, tiszteletet parancsolt a világban, és ezzel megteremtette a béke feltételét. Az elnöksége alatt béke volt a Közel-Keleten, és béke volt Ukrajnában is. Ma sem lenne háború, ha még mindig ő lenne az Egyesült Államok elnöke.
And we're joined by Ann Applebaum. She's a staff writer for The Atlantic, author of
So,
several...
I mean, here we have the timeline of this peace process, Christy. And at the same time, we see the hate of these vicious demons.
Why don't they want peace? I don't know.
Because they, well, I mean, here I should
people...
say something that maybe in the first part of the show I can't say.
Oh, okay. Don't say it. I don't want to get our channel removed.
But I might say it in the second part of the show.
I think I know what you said.
Books, including Twilight of Democracy. And, you know, there's so much going on, and I guess because of the solar eclipse that occurred because of Katie Britt's performance after the State of the Union, I mean, the Orban-Trump visit sort of got overshadowed a little bit. And I'm just curious if we get your reaction to Viktor Orban, this headline coming out of their meeting this morning. Orban saying that the two talked about Russia's war in Ukraine and that Trump is not going to fund it. I mean, that should be very chilling to leaders across Europe this morning.
Why very chilling? This is the solution of all our problems. This guy comes here every time with Joe Biden and gets billions of dollars of our tax money. He's basically sending inflation skyrocketing over the roof. I mean, he is the reason why we pay more for oil. Zelensky is the reason why we pay everything more when you go to your local supermarket. Remember that, just so you have a better idea of what's going on.
You know, let me start by connecting your previous segment to this one, because Orban is really the European leader who invented the idea of the fake campaign against migrants and the idea that the migrants are invading. And they're, you know, and there's a secret plot that migrants will replace, you know, ethnic Hungarians.
That's right.
And he was the one who started that. And some of what you're hearing the GOP do and Trump himself do is actually an imitation of that. You know, this kind of in the case of Hungary, it's a completely fake story. There was no border crisis in Hungary, no real one. We do have one, but it's of course very nuanced and complicated. But using this military language, turning it into an invasion, this is what Orban did to hide his real agenda. So he talked about migrants, you know, he talked about Hungary's enemies, and then behind the scenes, what he's actually done as prime minister is do deals with Russia, do deals with China, you know, corrupt Hungary, reduce the Hungarian business elite to just a few people who are his friends. And I think that is actually the model that he is presenting that's so appealing to the GOP. And it's also, you know, it's also the explanation for the connection between Hungary, Trump, and Russia. So the agenda is, you know, we'll do private deals with Russia, and we, you know, but we don't talk about it in public. And I think Trump is, you know, Trump actually talks very rarely about Ukraine in public, very rarely about Russia. But we know from his actions that he has been responsible for blocking, for persuading the House to block aid to Ukraine, right, in order for Ukraine to lose so that Russia wins.
But and there's
that was great. Remember, this was CNN in March of this year. And that was great. We were not giving any money to Zelensky, but somehow the Speaker of the House, what's his name?
Mike Johnson.
He's a traitor who eventually capitulated to the Democrats and gave our money to Zelensky.
Didn't he go and see Trump too? I mean, during that time,
but
didn't he know what was going on?
Absolutely. But this is the thing. We have a certain degree of compromise with the military industrial complex that can't go on. So, of course, some people here in the chat say they will not let Trump back in. Well, that will automatically probably mean a civil war in America if he won the election and it was stolen from him. But no. We are still transmitting on Facebook and YouTube, so we have to be very kind of moderate with our terminology. But remember, in 15 minutes, we will be moving to Rumble and X for the full uncensored second part of our show.
Also, I mean, arguably, maybe you'll disagree with me, the larger issue of all the world leaders that Donald Trump is bringing to Mar-a-Lago, you know, during this general election campaign, which has basically started, he brings Viktor Orban, this autocrat in Europe that I suppose might form some kind of alliance with Donald Trump. Maybe it's kind of a post-NATO world that they envision, more autocratic world that they envision. I mean, this should alarm a lot of Americans, and the fact that they're talking foreign policy, talking about very significantly altering foreign policy of the United States when it comes to Ukraine. I mean, that should raise alarm bells.
Yeah, look, a German member of parliament said to me a few weeks ago in Munich, we in Europe realize now that in a matter of months or years, we could be facing three autocracies, you know, Russia, China, and the United States. And so, yes, there's
three autocracies. These are the people that, of course, have also led the debate. CNN has led the debate between Trump and Joe Biden. This debate didn't really turn out to be a great success. We will be, of course, discussing also that. However, I wanted to bring you now to that CPAC event that was conducted in Hungary, which we saw Viktor Orban talking, because this is the way that CNN really describes the event with no respect for the other political side. You see, they talk always about democracy, about the voice of the people need to be heard, but only when it suits them. As soon as it starts going the other way, now, for example, the European Union is moving towards the right, but Great Britain has suddenly decided to turn on the left. This because the Conservative Party was a complete failure, wasn't really conservative. Their values sucked. they were supporting over and over again the wrong instances, including the war in Ukraine. And Rishi Sunak, what a scumbag. He deserved, of course, to lose. Nigel Farage could never really win because the system in England is rigged for only two parties. So he managed to get, I think, 5 seats, but that's about it. And now you have a socialist controlling Great Britain. Well, good luck to them. Good luck to them. But let's go back to the way CNN describes the CPAC in Hungary.
UP's embrace of Hungary's authoritarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and a new CNN investigation showing how Trump and Republicans who support him in this party are strengthening ties with the strongman ruler. He is known for cracking down on gay rights, immigrants, and the press. Trump allies even held a well-known annual conservative conference, CPAC, in Budapest. This is Trump is again not committing to accept the results of the 2024 election, saying, quote, "If everything's honest, I'd gladly accept the results. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country." Kyung Law is in Hungary with a report that you will see first here out front.
Enter with me into the right wing's utopia, where the slogans are American and unapologetic. This is America's Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, but exported to Budapest, Hungary, a country led by authoritarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Since 2000,
Authoritarian. How can he be authoritarian if he's now in rotation driving the EU and he's actually been elected democratically? I don't know. I mean, they're a little bit confused, these people at CNN. It's only authoritarian when it suits them. Now, in 24 hours, we will have the French electing for the second time their representatives. And what does that mean for Europe? It means a lot for Europe. It means a lot for Paris this summer because we have, of course, the Olympics. But France is preparing for even a possible insurrection or civil war. You see, France will be deciding their fate in the next 24 hours. This happens because they have 2 tournaments. The second tournament decides the election. It was, of course, called this whole election by Macron himself, who thought he could win, but in the first tournament he lost to Marine Le Pen's party and Bardella, her young representative. And tomorrow Macron has allied himself with the extreme left to try to stop Marine Le Pen taking over France. What does this mean? Marine Le Pen is an ally of Orban, is an ally of actually Putin, who will immediately not send any soldiers to Ukraine, which is a right thing to do because nobody wants to send their own soldiers. But Macron has been saying for the last few months he wants to send French soldiers. Of course, not himself, because he's a lightweight. He could not fight anybody. Him and his old wife, who is there parading as a wife while he's a little bit, okay, we understand
like
what he
Biden?
is. No, he's a little bit, well, we will say that in 10 minutes. So, in any case, in 24 hours, France might stop Marine Le Pen advancing to power and having her own prime minister in charge, which will create a lot of problems for Macron. But at the same time, everything is possible. Europe is definitely changing politically. I mean, aside from Great Britain, which is completely the opposite of the rest of the Union because it's not part of the Union any longer. They have done Brexit, so they are in their own world. And in their own world, the people who are more politically active in Great Britain are unfortunately the leftists. And the result we are seeing. I mean, but it's their own problem. I mean, Great Britain will have to deal with Donald J. Trump, who will kick their asses for sure, because they are insisting a bit too much on this war with Russia. So here we continue with the Hungarian CPAC, where the plan to avoid World War III continued to be discussed behind the scenes.
Orban has crushed dissent politically and socially, consolidating power around his office, severely restricting immigration. He's taken control of the judiciary and major media and limited rights, especially for gay people. This is the leader held up by CPAC as a conservative hero in a war against the left, and praised by another charismatic leader who shared a greeting via video.
I'm honored to address so many patriots in Hungary who are proudly fighting on the front lines of the battle to rescue Western civilization.
Familiar Trump allies joined in.
You guys are an inspiration to the world.
From video messages.
Thank you for standing strong.
To appearing in person, saying Hungary should be a roadmap for a Trump second term.
Hungary's immigration policy should serve as a model to the United States.
And that confirms that I am in good company here in Hungary.
Hungary has become one of the most successful models as a leader for conservative principles and governance in Europe.
Not that they...
And this is actually the truth, because the rest of Europe is a shithole. And this is what happened on his way back from Moscow. This is the message that Orban has put together. Check it out.
Évben azt tanultuk meg, hogy dialógus és diplomáciai csatornák nélkül nem tudjuk elérni a békét. Mert a béke nem magától lesz, hanem meg kell teremteni, azért dolgozni kell. Azt akartam megtudni, hogy a...
Peace needs to be created. Peace is something that needs to be worked on with a smile, with a human encounter between people who hated each other until a minute before going into the room, and then you need to work things out. Diplomacy is not what is happening at the moment in this new era of libtards and AI and social media. It's all about hate, polarization, division, divide and conquer. So the message that that basically is given here by Viktor Orban on his way out of Russia is a very powerful message indeed.
Merre van a békéhez vezető legrövidebb út? 3 kérdésben szerettem volna hallani, és hallottam is az elnök úr személyes álláspontját. Mit gondol az asztalon lévő béketervekről és a béketárgyalási formátumról? Mit gondol a tűzszünet és a béketárgyalás viszonyáról? Lehetséges-e hamarabb tűzszünet, mint béketárgyalás? Kíváncsi voltam az elnök úr véleményére a háború utáni európai biztonsági rendszerre vonatkozóan. Megtapasztaltam, hogy az álláspontok messze vannak egymástól, de a dialógus és a párbeszéd helyreállítása tekintetében az első fontos lépést ma sikerült megtenni, és folytatni fogom ezt a munkát.
Make Europe great again. I mean, the guy has transformed the European Union now. This make Europe great again.
I think this is really like a great thing that he's doing.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Trump is really doing
and
a
you
great
see
job
now in the European Parliament, we just had the elections. This is creating also 2 different forms of conservatism, of let's say the right-wing approach is different now in Europe, because we have Giorgia Meloni, who is an idiot, who supports Joe Biden, even if Joe Biden is a Democrat, and Meloni is from Fratelli d'Italia, a party that in theory descends from the Movimento Sociale Italiano and from the Fascist Party. She supports Joe Biden even in his worst moments at the G7. This woman, Giorgia Meloni, is a loser. She is now leading a loser movement within the European Union and within the European Parliament, because Orban instead, who went to Rome just recently and explained to Giorgia Meloni what he's doing with Trump. Now the Italians, as usual, and that's why I'm no longer Italian, they only jump on the, how you say,
bandwagon.
Jump on the bandwagon. That's what they will do once Trump is in power.
Yeah, they'll all jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Oh, we love Trump after the fact, you know.
Yeah,
but we remember where you were before.
Absolutely,
so.
and I was persecuted in Italy for being
we never
the
forget what
president
you are.
of Italians for Trump.
You showed your true color.
that Trump will align with Russia against Europe. That Russia will cease to, not just cease to send military aid to Ukraine, but will also encourage further Russian incursion into Europe. So absolutely, it's an enormous fear, and of course that would change the balance of power in the world, and it would have an enormous effect on perceptions of the U.S. in the world, on trade with the U.S., on whether Europeans buy American products, all kinds of things that most people don't factor in. America being the security guarantor for Europe bestows a lot of advantages on the United States, including economic advantages. And once we lose that, it's going to be very hard to win back.
That's right. I mean, our European allies.
So remember this. From the end of World War II onwards, America and the Democrats here in the United States of America have tried to make out of Europe a place without balls, a technocracy leaning on the left, always fueled with socialism. That is not because of the Europeans, but because of the brainwashing that was made, forced by the CIA. And why they did that? Because, of course, they didn't want the rise of fascism, of Nazism, of the right wing again. So they pushed over and over again this idiotic left-wing ideology on Europeans. And now the modern Europeans are, I'm sorry to say that as I'm a former European, I'm now an American. I'm very proud of being an American. But the Europeans, and Christy knows that, are people, no balls.
Being American over there was hard to take.
Yeah, because these people in Europe, they are really leaning.
They're motherfuckers over there.
They are leaning on the wrong side of history once again.
They're going to be tempted to form other alliances if they see Donald Trump on the verge of coming back to the White House. I mean, that you hear that from diplomatic officials here in Washington all the time. And another parallel between Viktor Orban and Donald Trump we should talk about this morning on CNBC. Trump called Facebook and the news media here in the United States the enemy of the people. Now, he was talking about it in reference to a TikTok question, but let's watch this.
I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media. I think Facebook has been very dishonest. I think Facebook has been...
I think what he's saying is completely true. And CNN likes to say, oh, he's saying that Facebook are a bunch of scumbags who sell your data, who with Mark Zuckerberg
and censor too
on the 4th of
and they
June.
Censor patriots left and right, and they take away their accounts.
Yes, and we have been censored over and over and over again, unfortunately.
If you say the right thing, you get censored. No,
yeah. So that's why in 2 minutes we are moving out of Facebook, moving out of YouTube, on X, on Rumble, and that's it, guys. For the second part of the show, X and Rumble only. Then we will, of course, replay it, upload it on Telegram, BitChute, and other platforms, like, for example, Band.video. But the live experience of the Leo Zagami show is on Facebook and YouTube only for the first part of the show.
Very bad for our country, especially when it comes to elections.
Now, he seems to be coming to TikTok's rescue a little bit with all of this talk of Washington of cracking down on TikTok. We should note, I mean, one place where you see a lot of MAGA propaganda is on TikTok these days, so perhaps that has something to do with it. But we should also note a number of press freedom organizations have blasted Viktor Orban's crackdown on the media. Of course, we saw that during the Trump administration here in the U.S. It sounds like another parallel.
So what's important about Orban's crackdown on the media and why it's an example for that minority of the Republican Party who want a more authoritarian system is that it wasn't done with censorship. So Orban didn't censor people. Instead, he used tactics. He used business pressure on advertisers who advertised in independent media. He would say, do you really want to place that advertisement because you might lose your government contract?
Guys, CNN, the Communist News Network, what can you do? There's something really something else. Now let's read from volume 9 of my confessions. Yes, volume 9. Okay.
America is still relying on its military capabilities that have always served to underline its power, but even those capabilities are now starting to weaken. Just look at the present weakness in the development of hypersonic missiles, for example. But to understand this and to connect all the dots has become an act of courage and social responsibility for all of us. So we can finally draw a full picture that such events reveal a wider esoteric understanding connected to the end times. Right now, the war for global supremacy is being fought between Russia and the USA on the territory of Ukraine, but there is much more to it. While Putin wants Ukraine's adherence to the Eurasian Economic Union, Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, the US wants Ukraine to become part of the EU and NATO so the Americans and their British allies can populate it with military bases and control it through IMF debts and other strategic tools of oppression typical of the New World Disorder. Several political analysts consider that if the U.S. wins this war, this will mean a huge step towards global hegemony for America, while if Russia succeeds to bring Ukraine under its control, then starting from that moment, the Russian Empire begins its rebirth.
Okay, let me interrupt you here. It doesn't mean that we need to arrive to a victory for the US or a victory for Russia. It's much better if we can follow the peace plan that Trump is actually working on. And the peace plan works this way. If Zelensky wants to continue to be a country and wants to have weapons given by the United States, protection by the United States and all that, he will have to be restricted to where he is now, losing access to the Donbass region and to Crimea, which are prevalently Russian. Of course, there is also the opportunity that Putin has given to maybe coexist in Crimea. But at the moment, nobody wants to discuss this plan openly. If not us here in this show, we wanted to discuss this plan because we are seeing there is something important going on. And I'm personally irritated by the fact that the alternative media is not giving enough interest to this very important element in our present lives, because our future depends from this. So let me show you what Vladimir Putin has said about Trump's proposal in Astana 3 days ago. Check this out.
Fact that Mr. Trump, as a presidential candidate, says that he's ready and wants to stop the war in Ukraine, we take that very seriously. Well, I haven't seen his ideas on how exactly he's going to do that, and that is the key question. But I have no doubt that he says that sincerely, and we support that.
Now, he didn't see them yet, because Orban didn't go and visit him yet when he said, made the statement.
But now he has.
Now he has. This was the moment in which Orban arrived and visited Vladimir Putin to present Trump's secret plan to him.
Azt kell megállapítanom, elnök úr, hogy lassan elfogynak azok az országok, amelyek mind a két háborúban álló féllel tudnak beszélni. Lassan Magyarország az egyetlen olyan ország Európában, aki mindenkivel tud beszélni. És ezt a helyzetet szerettem volna felhasználni arra, hogy fontos kérdésekről tudjak önnel szót váltani. És néhány kérdésben, amely fontos Európának, szeretném megismerni az ön álláspontját.
Köszönöm.
Now, these are serious politicians, serious statesmen. They're not jokes. They're not some idiot who doesn't know where he is most of the time. Now, Donald J. Trump, at the CPAC this year, described the condition of Joe Biden to the rest of the world. But nobody took him seriously. Now all this mainstream media, these leftists are finally
faking it.
Well, they are
This all
definitely
like a big show?
they're faking.
Because how could they not know that he was okay? They even said that they knew that you know that this had been going on for a long time, and they knew.
Okay, the people who worked with Biden knew this for 2.5 years.
Yeah, what's up with that?
But they hoped that Trump will eventually fade out through a bunch of court cases. He might eventually be arrested, and they could put a zombie in the White House. That's what they wanted. So let me show you guys what Donald J. Trump said regarding Joe Biden at the CPAC. I mean, we are talking about Joe Biden, a guy who said he's a black woman. Yes, he said he's a black woman.
You have to play that.
Yeah.
As I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president.
Say what?
Say what? I mean, really? What is he talking about? Let's go back to Donald J. Trump, who is at least a serious politician and a statesman compared to Joe Biden. There is no comparison. There is no comparison, guys.
No.
Because after we all saw that poor interview yesterday with George Stephanopoulos, it was just ridiculous, the whole thing. I mean, the guy, he's an old, senile idiot. We see a lot of these people here in Palm Springs. Palm Springs, unfortunately, has two problems. One of the main problems is, of course, the heat. Unbearable. But then you have these old folks who are also a problem when they're so idiotic in their day-to-day lives at times. I'm sorry to say that, but at times they are really... Jeez, man. Okay, so let's go a second to see what Trump said during CPAC, because he said some very interesting things. I think that because Trump, does a lot of these events, then people tend to not listen carefully to what he says. I must say that in this particular event, he was great, and he said things that need to be addressed and listened even now.
True. When I imitate Biden, who can't find the stairs ever. You know, you have so many stairs in there. You got one there, you got ramps, you got everything. Here you only have 2 or 3 stairs. Sometimes you have 6, 7 stairs. The craziest thing, what a waste of money. My father would say, what the hell are they doing? All you need is 1 stair. But for Biden, you need many. But when I imitate him with the stairs, because he never can find his way. If you ever see Secret Service runs up and grabs him and, helps him off the stage. This is what we have negotiating nuclear weapons. So he finishes his speech, and do you ever notice? He finishes it. The speeches last about, would you say, average 2-3 minutes, right? Very quick. They're very quick and not good. Not good. But the press gives him good marks. I remember when he made such a bad State of the Union speech. Everything was stumbling, mumbling. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. And I said, I'm going to watch CNN, MSDNC to find out what they say, because that was one of the worst speeches. They said, not since FDR has there been a speech so magnificently delivered. I'm telling you, I've never, ever forgotten it. Not since FDR. I said, it's impossible. They're fake. They're terrible. But you know what? When he goes, and he always points, he goes like this. Thank you. Where am I? Thank you. And then he goes, and he points. You ever notice? And it's always he ends up going in the opposite direction ultimately. But he goes, and then sometimes he trips over the machine. And then we don't have it here. But if there's a wall behind him, he ends up walking into the wall. And then one of these incredible guys from Secret Service, all these beautiful guys, they run up stage. Look at these guys, like central casting, right? They'll run up stage, they'll grab them, and they're not meant to smile. You know, they're very hard line. When I tell stories, they're like this. I guess they're trained that way. They never smile. You say, good morning. Well, sure. They actually turn away. It's good. This way you don't have to say good morning all the time, okay? No, they train them this way. But so one of these guys will run up and grab them and take them off the stage. This is what we have as our president. But the worst thing is when I do that, the fake news. I call up my wife, our great first lady. She was a great first. People love her. Yeah, people love her. Oh, look at that. Wow. Mercedes, that's pretty good. Yeah, she's good. And she loves our country and she loves the people. It's true. When I give these big rallies, we give rallies, they say, we love our first lady. They have signs, we love her. They always show a high heel, you know. But we love our first lady. But I call up our first lady, I say, so baby, how good was that? She goes, you were okay. She's a very tough critic. I'll go into a group, I'll speak in front of 55, 56, 68,000 people sometimes. I'll call her up, I'll say, how good was I tonight? Was that unbelievable? She goes, well, your hair didn't look good. Oh, that's not good. But it's very hard to get like, you know, once in a while she goes, you were really good tonight, but that's like a major. But I said, in this case, I said, how good was that tonight? She said, you were really good tonight, but what happened? You couldn't find your way off the stage? Because the fake news said Donald Trump couldn't find his way off the stage. I said, wow. Or when I interject a name, like I go, our president, Barack Hussein Obama. Rush Limbaugh, remember? He would always, right, Seb? Rush would go, Barack Hussein. You couldn't hear Barack or Obama, but the name Hussein, he'd be screaming. I don't know exactly what he meant by that. I think I do. But he'd go, Barack Hussein. So I'd go, Barack Hussein Obama, our president, has done this. Now, I meant that because there are those people that say he's running our country because Joe is not strong on aptitude. So there are those. We don't know that that's true. But they go out and they say, Donald Trump, headline. Donald Trump doesn't know who the president of our country. He thinks Obama's the president, Lou. Look at the great Lou Dobbs. He thinks Obama is the president. So when I'm sarcastic, because I'm sort of a sarcastic guy, I find humor in sarcasm.
And he said that Barack Hussein Obama is the father of ISIS, and you will find all the details about how ISIS was created by Barack Hussein Obama and his friends on volume 10 of my Confessions. At this point, guys, we are a little bit late for the end of the first part of the show. Christy just reminded me we were still here on Facebook and YouTube. I hope you enjoy.
See you later, Facebook and YouTube.
See you later. Of course, guys, we will continue on X and Rumble, but we have between the first part of the show and the second part of the show, the wonderful music of Vincenzo Viceversa, who was also the author of our book covers. So he's a real artist. And then we have the video itself created by a friend, Albert of Telepandemia. See you on X and Rumble in a few minutes.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology,